Hey, everybody, welcome back to the All Things God and Country podcast. I am your host, Justin Clear, and this is our other host.
Jacob Kitson.
Welcome back. It's been
Yeah.
a little bit. Got really sick forever, and then my whole house was sick, and here we are.
And I've been working all over Miles City trying to figure out what's going on with the world.
Been a lot going on.
Yeah.
I've had three plane crashes within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
There was a jet that went down in Alaska. Supposed to be some super advanced, our top of the line jet or whatever,
hmm
went down in Alaska. And then the Black Hawk crashed into the passenger plane.
And then the
And then,
emergency plane.
yeah, emergency plane crashing in northern Philly, I think.
Yeah.
Hit a mall and a couple houses.
It looked like a missile.
Yeah, it did, man. That thing was cooking.
It was crazy how
Somebody
fast it came down.
hit the thrusters.
Well, and what happened was they tried to say that it was just normal flight, but there's no way that it accelerated that fast without I don't know. And you know that they have the ability to hijack stuff and
Sure. I
everything
mean,
remotely.
even at football games, they have these cannon things they point at drones that fly over the game, and they just land and it cuts off all
Electronical
communication. It's
communication.
basically like an EMP gun.
That's what I'm saying,
And if
man.
you can
Like,
do it for a football game,
I'm sure you can do it for a plane.
yeah, because it didn't appear that the pilot had any control because typically they'll feather it and they'll
Right.
try to emergency land, but this thing was just I don't know.
We don't laugh at,
No, not that.
but that was funny. Anyway, but yeah, I mean the that plane crash was so fast on impact, and then that Black Hawk, like, why were you flying with your lights off? Just from the
Way
80.
above their height
I
limit.
mean, you only have like a 200 foot. You're
Yeah,
only
that
supposed to be like
yeah
200 feet.
is way above it.
Yeah.
And it's like it missed the plane once and then it went back and again.
I don't think you'll get the clear story on that.
No, there's
Do you
something
remember a
weird.
few years ago in maybe 2021? I think it was 2021. There, it was the AT&T Center in Nashville, Tennessee, and there was this huge explosion out front of it.
Yes,
And
it
if
was
you
like
go
a RV or something, right?
allegedly,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay, that's what all this stuff
Yeah.
reminds me of is how okay. I don't believe the government doesn't know, and I always believe the government's lying to you. Never trust the government. As in the words of the great late Ronald Reagan, the worst words you could ever hear are "I'm from the government. I'm here to help." So with the government, you know that automatically just take the guess that they're 4 steps ahead of you and lying to you. Why ever the aircraft was flying 200 feet or higher than 200 feet with its lights off, I bet you never get the clear cut answer to, because that is an aerial zone. That was over DC.
Yeah.
And so the
Either way, if it was pilot error, that doesn't look good. If it
no.
was hijacked, that would cause mass panic. So
Well, and the fact that
it's frustrating.
that's some of the most
I don't
secure
really
airspace in the
I don't
country.
really want to get on a plane in the near future.
No.
I mean, I didn't really want to before, but
No, I can
now
drive
it's kind of
anywhere.
like I think the percentage
Excuse
of
me.
dying on a plane are going up.
I can drive anywhere I need to go.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't think that I don't think that they're telling the truth. I'm sure they know. And see, this is part where, and I'm always going to play the advocate for the, well, maybe they're not the good guy. For me, this is where stuff is kind of concerning with how fast things are changing in the current administration, because we already seen some things be absorbed by other portions of the government and the FFA and things like that. And he already signed that DEI. Like, I found that interesting that he signed that executive order against the DEI, and then this happened. And it's hard to not think that that's the narrative. And, we had comments recently, and I'll address these briefly, on our one YouTube that said, not everything's a conspiracy theory. We're not saying any of this is a conspiracy theory. We've completely said this is all conjecture for the most part, unless we're speaking to the truth of the scriptures when it comes to things of this world.
And I think we have a right to question things,
Absolutely.
especially given the track
Absolutely.
record of the government.
Absolutely. And, to the individual in question or whatnot, in regards to what we say in this podcast, I almost said conversation, which it is everything we say is going to be from the lens of the scriptures and from our personal relationships with Jesus Christ. And so we are speaking from things with a Christian perspective. And so some things we will speak in Christianese. And if you are of the world and you take things literally, you will not hear the truth of the gospel in what we're saying. You'll hear literal conversations instead of what's meant to be for those of us who grew up on VeggieTales is comical.
And thought-provoking.
Yeah,
Question these things. Think about it.
and that's the purpose of all of life is question everything. Even the Lord Jehovah says to question him, test him, and he should show that he's good to you, kind of thing. And so for you to not be able to question things takes away from your creativity and the image bearer you are as a Christian and as a child of God. So,
Freedom of speech.
yeah, I mean, however you want to look at it from a natural or from a governmental
I mean,
perspective.
there's plenty of crazy people out there that talk, and they have that right. I mean, there was the UFC fighter Bryce Mitchell that went off on how, Hitler was such a good dude, and
Well, and I want to touch on that for a minute. I don't, Hitler was a bad guy.
but he's got the right to say it.
He does.
Go ahead, you little crazy Alabama kid. He
For
loves Jesus, I guess.
he does. But I've listened to him talk before, and his testimony about how Jesus showed up and
Yeah,
he was dating a witch and all of that stuff. I think that he's misunderstood, and I think that
I
it's
do too.
easy to be misunderstood when you say extreme things on a
Yeah, he
national
doesn't really have
stage.
much of a filter.
No, and he doesn't at
He could
all
use a little bit of a, all right, man, you might be onto something, but let's maybe not talk about it yet till we,
articulate it
yeah,
thoughtfully.
and maybe where way we don't sound like a crazy Nazi lover or
I don't
something.
think I did many book reports on
Well, he did
Hitler.
say until he got on meth.
I did a lot of book reports on Hitler. Hitler is an interesting figure as far as history goes, and I'm
You
a
know, he wanted to
nerd.
be a painter.
Yes, I did. He got denied from the Vienna Austrian Institute for Art 2 times. One of the reasons they say that, and by they, there's multiple sources. Remember, the written word is the most important thing because they will change your teachings. There are encyclopedias I had from the 1970s growing up that said something completely different than your modern Wikipedia page would. There are other books that I can't name off the top of my head, but that I have read in relationship to Hitler, that information from it no longer is represented online. So somebody like Hitler is going to be an historically controversial figure long after they're gone. Same with Napoleon, Alexander the Great, any of these dudes.
Genghis Khan,
Genghis Khan, and so
Mussolini.
as the expression goes, history is written by the victor. And so with that, uh, though it was liberalism and communism that beat National Socialism. And just remember that. And those two have spent the last 80 years writing the details. Do I think Hitler was a bad guy? Absolutely, I think Hitler was a bad guy. And he took everything too far. All you ever had to
He
do
was,
was read Mein Kampf, and Mein Kampf completely tells you what he was going to do, how he thought, and everything of that nature.
and
But
he was a antichrist of sorts,
absolutely,
like
he was
a
an
a
antichrist.
test run.
No, no, no. I wholeheartedly believe what I'm about to say, and I can show you biblical scriptures to back it up. The devil does not know, obviously, the day nor the hour. None of us do. So he's had to have somebody on deck
Hmm.
every single time. One of the things I want to point to you that is symbolic of the times is the rise and fall of Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was symbolic of the Antichrist to such a degree that where he gave his speeches of was modeled after the throne of Pergium, which is mentioned in Revelation chapter 2 by Christ. And then he says, I know where Satan sits in Pergium. Not only that, the year Adolf Hitler was born, I want to say the same month. Hitler was born on April 20th in 1890 something.
Hmm.
And the seat at Pergium, the temple at Pergium that Christ is referencing in Revelations 2, was taken to the National Institute of History or the National Museum, I'm sorry, in Berlin year of or year before, like very, very close proximity to when Hitler was born in April. Um,
Do you know there were blood moons when he ordered
Absolutely.
the gas chambers?
Yes. And one of the things
And it was
Mhm.
during a Jewish holiday.
Yes, it was. One of the things I want to get at with Hitler is this. Hitler was symbolic of the Antichrist. There's a okay. You see these YouTube?
Air quotes for those listening.
Air quotes, YouTube. This is all my opinion, but there is evidence, and you will not hear just myself say this. And I'm not Nick Fuentes or any of those people by no means, but there's a pretty good evidence that Hitler was Jewish descent himself.
Yeah.
And the more, conflicting evidence, go back to my comment from just a couple minutes
I
ago.
think that's fairly widely accepted.
Actually, it's not. You look,
Really?
no, it's
I thought
conflicting. It used to be,
I
and
would
now
have,
it's not.
huh.
And it's because of the Zionists are real. It's because of the Zionist influence over history since 1947.
I mean, I would have thought the most controversial thing would be arguing over whether he escaped or not. I'm not of the opinion he killed himself. I think
No,
he escaped to Argentina. I think there's pretty decent evidence to suggest
the
that.
CIA had an open case file on Adolf Hitler until the 80s.
Well, there are communities in down in like Venezuela
Oh yeah, they're
that are
100%
descendants, and they
German.
still have their war
Yeah,
medals and stuff. Tim Kennedy
yeah.
did that show, Hunting
There's a
Hitler,
there was a movie a
and
couple years ago
he
about
wasn't
that.
allowed to touch them because he wasn't pure enough.
Yeah, but see, they
And I don't know, he looks pretty white to me,
but see,
but
here's the thing.
must be the nose.
Hitler was a occultist first
Oh
and
yeah.
foremost. And with Hitler, a lot of it had to do with power. There's a reason a brown hair, brown eyed Austrian man went after blonde haired, blue eyed people. It's because, and Gary Wayne, when he'll be on in March, um, so we'll have him touch on this. The fascination with Hitler and the Aryan race really has more to do with the fallen angels than anything, and has to do with the desire for the purity of bloodlines, the occultism that was
Well,
all
he was
throughout
also trying to, collect the
Spear
holy
of
relics.
Destiny,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
all those
I
things.
mean, Indiana Jones wasn't that far off.
No, there's
There's
truth to
there
every
was a lot of
lie,
truth in that.
and
You can do a lot of things with a whip and a leather hat.
part of the reason that stuff is the way that it is because the devil, there is cosmic laws to the order of things. I can keep going. There's cosmic laws to the order of things. I do believe that the devil has to state certain stuff out loud. That's just how it
I
works.
think you argue Napoleon would have been an antichrist spirit as well.
Absolutely it was.
Genghis Khan.
Yeah, well, yeah, you could argue that,
I mean, there's been a lot of them throughout history.
well, and that's why the scriptures
Maybe
say.
even Vlad the Impaler to some degree.
But that's why this, well, he was kind of, depending on which way you look at it, a good guy, minus the whole killing people. But he was a Christian defending Christianity against the Muslim Turks.
He's also where they get the story of Dracula.
Correct. And there's
Well,
truth. Yeah,
yeah,
he was of the order
to
of
some
the,
degree.
well, no, there's a lot of truth there. Vlad was of the order of the dragon. That's what
Do you know
King
why? How he
Charles.
impaled people?
Yes,
Oh my
absolutely.
goodness.
I had a fascination with Vlad when I was a kid.
That will make you stop going there.
Well, do you know
You
one of
see
the
that when
things?
you're going down the road,
So
you're like,
there's a book.
I think I'm gonna go somewhere else.
There's a book called The Antichrist in a Cup of Tea. Okay. And it goes over, and his name's Tim Cohen. He's the author of it. And, he goes over the current King of England's coat of arms. And from a biblical standpoint, from a coat, arm seal, he makes a very linear lineage, historical data, comprehensive, easily readable, nothing really forced argument for Charles to be the Antichrist or a Antichrist, which I do agree with.
Well, did you remember that painting that they did of him when he first got
Yeah,
in?
looked like the bad guy.
Looked like
Morgo
looked
from
like hell.
looked like Morgo
And
from
you can see like
Ghostbusters.
demons in
Yeah,
it.
you can see Bathmouth in it.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I want to point out to you is that Charles, technically, if there was to be a king of all Europe, Charles has right to every single current, existing, and defunct throne. His blood does. He has more blood connection to Vlad the Impaler than he does the common British man. And he is a descendant of Vlad the Impaler.
Hmm.
His ring that he wears is very significant, no pun intended. But Vlad probably what good descriptor was an antichrist figure type, but one of the things that he created was the Order of the Dragon he was a part
Hmm.
of, and so is Charles, and Charles is the inheritor of these things. And there's an interview of him from, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, of him talking to some BBC exec about the Wastphalia, which is Transylvania, ancestral seat that was Vlad's, and the that he gets in his eye is like creepy, right? Like the amount of coinkydinks that are currently lining up with society are impressive. Even with, another thing to watch with Trump is, look, guys, we're only 14 days into his
Presidency.
presidency, and look at all the stuff that's happened. One of the things I got to point out to you is this founding of the guy with Larry Fink, who's the chair of this company, Oculus, and this investment into this Project Stargate AI system. Like some of the stuff that is coming to the forefront, just as Christians, brothers and sisters, I just want to say this. You guys remember, stay vigilant and stay aware, because it says that he he would deceive us if we don't stay sharp. And the guy who started it, his company, or part of it, his company's name is Oracle. And he's talking about how we're going to have vaccines for cancers and all of these things. The imagery and the symbolism of these fallen angels seeking to say stuff aloud is beyond fascinating for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, because we have a pope who currently says that all religion is a path to the way, which goes contrary to John 14:6. I am the truth, the way, no man cometh unto the Father but through me, and that's Christ speaking. Okay, and you have this false priest, which by definition the Catholic Church has already fulfilled the role as the beast system once before in history, but through the persecution of the saints, the edification of the Pope as God on earth, sitting in the seat of Holy of Holies, and intercessor as man before God. Like that's all been done in the Middle Ages. And so there's a partial fulfillment to the beast system. And I still think that they're a portion of the beast system, and that they will usher in the ultimate Antichrist as well through their facilitation of it as far as a one world religion. But at the same time, you have somebody like Elon Musk, who most definitely has an antichrist spirit about him, who's very open in his humanist attempts to achieve godlike, immortality. You think of a movie with Johnny Depp called Transcendent from, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago
I
now.
don't think I've seen it.
He gets uploaded into a computer system and becomes immortal because of he's a scientist.
Oh, I
Okay.
saw a show where they had similar. They basically downloaded all their stuff onto this little cartridge, basically, and if their sleeve died, they just put into another one.
And that's essentially what the Nephilim, fallen angels, demonos, demons,
I can't remember what
disembodied
show it
spirits
was.
seek to do.
There was some show I watched. I think it was that old Arnold Schwarzenegger one, The
Which
Sixth
one?
Day.
Oh, Sixth
I
Day is a
think
good
I think
show.
that's the one where he's a clone.
Yes.
And then you kind of then there's some point in the movie they talk about like so your consciousness is downloaded to the new body or whatever, but does that a new one and the old one is now dead and that one is a new person, but with
Right.
the same, so you kind of have this like, so is the old one dying and this is actually just there's that, which is kind of interesting because that would be an interesting thought
There's a lot of
because you
pre-prediction.
can't download a spirit.
Okay, so I believe there's 10, just from a biblical perspective and from a my understanding of a lot of just where the Lord has led me. we're dimensional beings, right? Paul calls it the heavens. We talk about it as the heavens as well. And I do believe it. Now, not like the way Mormons talk about the different heavens, right? But like dimensions are real. You and I are 3D. We cast a 2D shadow, right? 2D objects cast a 1D shadow, which there's no such thing. You know what I mean? But like, it's so what we see in the spirit, is that the spirit, or is that in a different quote unquote dimension? I don't like using science words, but it's
I
a
would say
false,
both.
huh?
Both.
I think so too, but it's science words are as close as I'm going to get to being able to describe the truth in some of it. And I think that a lot of science is, like quantum entanglement, that's real. Bible talks all about quantum entanglement if you are willing to see that. There's a lot of history that is coming to a convergence point where a lot of talking about Hitler and all these things, right? Like it can never go backwards. Remember that. Unless God sets the tower to fall.
Do you know who one of the first Antichrist spirits in Scripture is?
Cain.
Haman,
Well, Haman would
because
be
he
an
was the first person that tried to commit genocide.
well, yeah, with the Jews, yeah. In that regard,
Yeah,
yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, but first Antichrist representation would be Cain.
right. The one that actually
Right,
did
persecution
anything.
unto the
Yeah,
children kind of thing.
would have
You
been
you
Haman.
could argue Pharaoh or Haman.
Yeah,
Yeah. Pharaoh's definitely a picture of the
sure.
Antichrist. And I would argue Pharaoh and Judas are the two best representations of the Antichrist, only because of they represent different elements in a covenantal sense too, right? But Haman absolutely is a picture of the Antichrist. You know what's interesting about Haman? From a fulfillment prophecy standpoint, the Haman is the descendant of
Yeah,
in Samuel when God told Saul to wipe out the Amalekites.
yep.
He's a descendant of them. And so that is how far side teaching. That's how far your generational correction can be, like that's quite some time that takes place. And it's a because and that's where the bigger teaching is to what Justin said, because the Jewish people through Saul was not obedient. They themselves were almost eradicated, right, by
Yeah,
Haman. And it could have easily been avoided because Haman could have never existed if Saul had done what he was supposed to. And so,
well, that's kind of Abraham and Ishmael as well. There's a lot of problems that could have been avoided.
well, and you see,
A lot of problems.
but that's a covenantal thing. Like from the moment when building upon the Nephilim, I'm not going to say whether I believe this next statement or not, but uh, there's always been an opposing Antichrist line in opposition to the direct line of Adam. I do believe that part, so I didn't say what I needed to. Never mind. But you look at Cain, you look at Ishmael, and so forth, Esau. Um, there's purpose to that, right? And there's like Bibi Netanyahu. There's a lot of prophetic stuff about Bibi Netanyahu that's out there that like people have spoken, whether right, wrong, and different. Um, these convergence lines, right, are too much. You're going to see the Lord. He is moving. You feel it, you see it. We can see it everywhere, right? Like this correction with Trump. Yeah, sure. It's a
Give him that. He's doing what he said he was going to do.
but is it peace and security? That's and I'm not trying to be a cynic. I'm just these are the things that I
It's
see.
like Cat Williams. We're going to find out what a bully looks like in the White.
Like,
But sometimes you gotta.
well, and I mean,
I mean,
I told Cher
I don't
this.
think I would have. I would do much. I mean, I would do some things different, but you can't let other people take advantage of you.
No, I would have went about it very differently, but
It worked,
it would have been just as effective.
right?
I mean,
I mean, you just can't keep. I mean, how long are you just going to let people take advantage of you?
I agree, but the thing I'm concerned about is the like I said, more so the people around him,
Yeah,
because with any king, Trump's not a king. I didn't say that. Watch out. But with any authoritative figurehead of government like that, The devil's going to be right
Sure.
there. And I think I look at Donald Trump and I see Nebuchadnezzar, right?
It doesn't seem like he takes advice from that many people around him. He seems to have closed his circle to like
Yes,
his family, his kids.
I would argue that's true.
He's close. I mean, his circle is so much smaller, I
I
think, this time around.
I would say
Even
that
like
he's being much more
the guys
effective.
around him, like Tulsi, JD, like I don't think he takes advice from them. They're more like they answer to him.
When I mean, 20 years ago, all those people are Democrats you just
Right.
named. I
But you know
told
what I mean? I don't think he's
absolutely
like playing golf with
no.
RFK.
I told Cher this last night.
Maybe forcing him to eat McDonald's on a plane, which
Yeah.
was like the funny. Did you see the story? Hold on, JD Vance told the other day about the ornate wooden box on Trump's desk,
Uh-uh.
and they were in the Oval Office just talking, and Trump pulls this box over, right? Ornate, beautiful, opens it up. There's the red button, and he goes click, and JD's like, "Sir, is everything okay?"
Cheeseburger.
He's like, "I just ordered a Diet Coke. Do you want one?" He's got a Diet Coke button. How cool is
That's pretty funny.
And but you know, he gotta knew he was messing with him though
I'm
when he did that
sure.
because he's just this box with a red button. He click. And JD's like, who we just knew,
Right.
sir? What's going on?
Oh, that's
Am I
funny.
being arrested?
Yeah.
I think he said that he drinks about 6 Diet Cokes a day.
Cheese.
I think that's all he drinks for the most part. I guess at
Probably.
least it's not sugar, but
One of the things I think is funny is
he
if
lost 30
you
pounds
can see
or
it on
60
him.
or something it was a quite a big number just from how busy he was
You can
campaigning.
see it.
Well, then you got Alex Jones. That dude's shredded now.
Yeah.
You see the pictures he posted the other or yesterday?
Mm-mm.
He's shirtless. I mean, he's stacked, dude.
Nice.
It's crazy. He looks like a linebacker again.
One of the things that I told
Cool to see him leaned out though,
it
because
is getting a little portly.
he was pretty round for a minute there, and it just I don't think it helped his look.
No,
It kind of made the conspiracy tinfoil hat look worse for some reason. I felt
I could
just
see
being
that.
that big, that basement, in your basement, mother's basement kind of
Yeah.
vibe. And now though, it's like now people are like, it's not him. He's been replaced.
Yeah.
Like, look at this. There was one he reposted
I
too. It was
saw
so
that.
funny. His shape of his head is different.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he lost like 80
He lost a
pounds.
lot and he
That
hasn't
was
been
that was
drinking.
called fat on his head.
Yeah,
Trust me,
squishmallow.
I know.
Uh,
I just think it's funny.
one of the things though that
Like, why would you want to replace him? Who wants to take his identity?
no,
His life is rough.
one of the things
I
that
mean, that's just dumb.
I think is funny is you see Trump has this take care of this hemisphere attitude, Teddy Roosevelt style, whereas the last guy had the FDR version, and I mean it's spiritual.
LBJ version.
You see it, you know. Um, but yeah, I mean, we got a lot of things coming down the chute this coming soon. Gonna have Gary on. That one's confirmed. Got a date in March for that.
Yeah, we'll get Doug on too.
Yeah, I got to reschedule that. We
I'm
need,
still waiting to hear back from Nathan.
but I
I
hope
emailed him again.
hopefully we can get quite a few on, and I think that we're
We
gonna
got
have
a
a
couple live guests.
yeah,
Jesse wants to do a pod. And then we'll have a couple guys from town.
yeah, it'll
It'll
be
be fun.
good. I think you're gonna see if you stick with us, you're gonna see a growth in our content. Um, check us out on TikTok too. All things gone in country. Um, you'll see a growth in our content, conversation, things like that. So prayerfully we can,
And I'll get Terry on too.
yeah, I think Terry'd be a good one.
He'll do it in a heartbeat.
Hopefully, prayerfully, we can get a good good content for everyone. We appreciate like the people who do watch and everything because we're just two dudes who trying to be obedient kind of thing, and I think that that's important to remember that that's what God desires more than
I,
anything.
I would love to interview somebody like Sam Childers, the Machine Gun Preacher, and I think that could be doable.
Eventually, I think
Yeah,
so.
and I might have a string of connection to get to him, possibly through my dad's friends.
That'd be cool.
Possibly, I think. And that would be cool because He's my kind of people.
I think it'd be fun, man. Like, and I think God's gonna.
I'd love to be able to the point be able to like fly people in to interview him
Oh
because it
yeah,
would be just so cool to hang out with Sam for a couple hours even. And I'm sure he'd just make you feel so small and comparative to the stuff he's done
I think
and the good he's done in Africa.
absolutely it would. I'd like to see if we could get Wade.
I mean, I can't. Oh yeah, he'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
I mean, Sam Childers, he saved so many children. It's
yeah.
just
I think.
unfathomable.
Well, and he does a
I
different
mean,
kind
I
of
would compare him probably soul saving as to Billy Graham, just in a very
different.
aggressive way.
Well, and him and I would be able to relate because we both have been called to do
Sam
that
is
in
like,
different
"Oh,
ways.
here, kids, get behind me." You. I remember at the end of his movie. Have you seen the movie
I can't watch it.
Machine Gun Preacher?
It's hard for me to watch. I've tried several
You
times.
gotta watch it.
It's hard for me to
You
watch
gotta
stuff like
watch
that.
it. I have
I
it.
know, but it's hard for me to. It's hard for me to watch. Like, I have a hard time watching stuff like that.
It's a beautiful movie.
I know the story is very beautiful, and
Oh,
I've watched him do interviews.
you gotta watch the
I've
movie.
watched him talk about the movie and stuff, and I've watched hour-long things on him, but
It is such a good movie.
it's a hard thing for me to
Oh, it'll
watch and
get you in the
stuff.
feels for
Well,
sure.
I get angry in a way with that stuff that I don't like, and so it's just a growing thing. I haven't tried in a long time. I'm trying.
There's some pretty serious, sad moments in
I
it
bet.
that are like, and you kind of see him kind of start slipping at one point in the movie, getting very angry and bitter. And like he comes back and he's preaching and God don't want no sheep, he want wolves.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's getting kind of like really fiery about it. And he's trying to get money because they don't have any money over there.
Yeah.
And like he goes to this rich guy's house who's having a big party that supposedly he's going to write him a check, right? And he gives him the check. It's like for $150 and he's just super mad about it. And he's like, he spent more of that on salsa,
Mm.
and that's probably true.
People like that.
So I mean that was like really upsetting. And then he finally kind of gets reined in a little bit, and God kind of touches him again, and he comes back to life. And then at the end, it shows the real guy, Sam Childers, and he said, a lot of people ask me what his moral obligation is when he's, shooting and doing stuff. And he said, if some terrorist came to your house and took your kid and I told you I'd get him back, doesn't matter how I do it.
Absolutely not.
He said, I'll answer for the things I've done, but I don't regret it.
Well, and that's a very David mindset. You know, David killed men.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Did you know Comey actually had a hit out on his head for a long time?
I could believe that.
They tried to kill him several times.
I believe that.
And you can't kill that guy. Comey's dead now.
He's got the anointing on
And
him.
the president that was there is in jail
Good.
because they overthrew him.
I remember
The
when that was a
people.
thing when I was a kid, the Lord's Army.
That might have been around the same time Wade was there
Yeah.
because he said they had to leave because of the coup d'etat.
Yeah.
So it might have been the same.
It's a fun word.
Yeah, I know. I had to ask him what it meant the first time. I was like,
It's
what?
French, just for overthrow.
I didn't realize it was the short word would have been coup.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm an idiot.
No,
I should have known
we
that.
don't speak French.
Not oui, oui, mon cher, mon ami, cara mia. It's just for movie French
Well,
words. I
yes,
know.
because
Yeah.
you're a cinephile.
X-Men and Adam's Family, mon cher.
Yeah. Mon chéri.
Yeah, whatever.
My love. My dear.
I'm not French. I
Cher's,
don't lose every game I play.
Cher's name literally means dear. So it's kind of a French name.
French.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not French. No offense, French people, but y'all don't know how to win.
Take all the French. Yeah.
You lose everything.
But, well, I do have to
You
go
have a
go-
weird president, to say the
Pretty
least.
sure he's married to a tranny.
Did you know they met?
Yes.
I
when
read
he
the story. It was
yes.
his babysitter.
No,
Yeah,
teacher.
teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, and he was like 15.
Go watch Candace Owens. She's doing a whole series on this.
I know people like her, but there's something about her that just
It's 'cause
it's
she's
like
Catholic.
no, it's something else. It's like this arrogance about her that
Well, she
irks
grew up.
me.
Yes, she's from a different class than us.
I just can't. It's just like nails on a
She's
chalkboard.
from a different class.
I don't know why.
But
I mean, I can watch Tucker Carlson all day long. He's fine.
Tucker's more down to earth,
Yeah,
and he's not a yes.
yeah, that's true.
But
And I really like following John Rich.
Yes,
on
Jan's a
X.
cool
He's
dude.
always posting great things. Do you see his exchange with Crenshaw?
Oh
That
yes.
was hilarious.
When he
But
doesn't like Crenshaw.
no, and
Nobody
he
does.
roasted him hard.
Yeah, nobody likes Crenshaw.
No, he's it's unfortunate. He could have been the next Nick Fury, but he's just another John McCain
Absolutely.
with an eye patch and a Captain America eyeball.
He's-
But
eh,
I know a dirty sheriff with a Captain America tattoo too. So
Me too.
you know.
Live there. Anyway, boys and girls, thank you for coming and tuning in with us. And I just want to say, if you don't know the Lord, that's the main purpose of this channel is for you to ask questions, seek favor, and not from us, but from God, and ask for repentance in your life by the blood of the Lamb, because that's the purpose at the end of the day is to bring sons and daughters to the kingdom. So choose this day whom you will serve, because today is the day of your salvation, and Scripture says that Christ came and died for you, and it's a gift freely given. I was taught it's rude to turn things away that were given to you for free, and so choose this day, seek the Lord, and you shall find him. He says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." We some
Sorry.
days, some days, all you need to do is stop and listen. He's always been right there. He's still right there. Uh, Ask him into your heart and choose to serve him this day. Choose this day whom you will serve. For us, we're going to serve the Lord.
All right, everybody. That's the show for today. We are out of here. Later.